Today's video, we are going to talk about using landing pages versus sending users to a full website. What converts best? So generally speaking, landing pages will convert overall across all industries better than sending traffic from a PPC ad, whether that be search ads, display ads, than sending people to a full website. However, there are plenty of exceptions that I'm going to talk about in today's video, of which I'm going to give you those examples on the case studies from 3 different markets where I'm going to talk about the differences in conversion rate and ROI that we got going from using a landing page to sending people to a full website, given that I've had a lot of clients over the years, hundreds, of which a lot of times they want us to send traffic to just a website, or we were sending traffic to the website and we introduced landing pages in, so you can see the difference this makes for the type of market that you're in. And of course, beyond that, I'm going to give you the main 5 factors that go into deciding whether or not you should be using a landing page or not. Because in a lot of cases, you guys, more than the other way around, you should be using landing pages. But you don't do it because it's time consuming, expensive, whatever, or you just don't have the knowledge or skill to do it. In any case, you need to know what these things are so you don't throw away half or more of your profit, as I'm going to show on the case studies, by simply just assuming that it doesn't make a big difference. Or the other way around if you're using a landing page, because it goes the other way sometimes too. So getting into the content, the factors that go into deciding if you should use a landing page versus send people to the full website is as follows. Number 1, level of trust required. The more trust somebody needs of your company, of your product or service before they'll buy, the more likely sending them to a full website will work. Now, that said, what I've pioneered here is a landing page with a so-called mini nav and also mini links to the main website. In that, what you should really be thinking about as it comes to landing pages, and if you're in a market that requires a lot of trust in order to buy, you should have a landing page that kind of looks like your website. It's not the actual website, but it actually quickly conveys the main selling points of your product or service. And if people know, obviously being on that page, where to go if they want to go investigate more about your company. On the top of the landing page, you got a little, what I call mini nav. So instead of the full navigation, you have like an about us, products, and there's like a couple links there, and they can see at any time they can go to another part of the website instead of staying on that landing page if they want to. They can also click the logo and go to the home page as well. Beyond that, certain sections on the main part of the landing page down below have links to also the website. So before and after photos, that you have a link there that takes them to the page on your website that has all the before and after photos and so forth. But if you're trying to send people to what people used to call, but not so much anymore, a so-called squeeze page where you're trying to get them to just do this XYZ thing, in a lot of markets, that's not going to work because they need to investigate you before they're going to be willing to convert. And if you try to box them in, you're just not going to get the conversions. A lot of people think, oh, if they can only do one thing, I'll get them to do it at a higher rate. That kind of thing actually did work well in the past, but anymore, the numbers don't lie. People want to investigate your company. Bottom line, so at the very least, if you're going to use landing pages and so-called squeeze pages, you need to have an out for them for the percentage of people, whether that be 10, 20, 40, 50% of people that want to investigate more about your company, they can easily do it. Not to say you can't use landing pages, but that should always be generally a factor, unless it's a decision they can make in 2 seconds. Like, hey, I'm a broken toilet repair company. You need your toilet fixed. I don't need to know bibliography about your company in order to hire you. I just need to know you do it and I'll call. Then, that type of situation, the main site's not going to be at all what you want to do. You want a laser targeted landing page with that one thing and that's it. And that's going to convert 10 times better than sending them to your homepage. Second factor involved is the offer itself. What are you offering? What are you trying to do? If you're trying to market content, by and large, you need landing pages, because sending people to a bunch of articles on your website, that's not the best way to get an ROI on your traffic. You pick the article that's going to get the most traction and you send them to only that, and you have an email and / phone number opt-in, and you call them up once they fill out that form to get the white paper or ebook or whatever it is that you have there, and that's how you monetize at the highest level. Product or service. So with products, a lot of people just send people to the product page on their website or the home page or category page, and that can make you a lot of money in a lot of cases. It's fine. But if you want to make the most money, particularly when you're in a low trust market with a highly complicated offer, you're going to do much, much better with an actual bona fide landing page to send them to, which I call a pre-landing page, if you will. So in other words, it's a page they get to before the main product page on your site to convey quickly the main selling points of your product. If you sell something like a water filter or a car or anything like this that's highly technical, you need a sales page to send them to. You can't just send them to your standard e-commerce product page, of which you can make an e-commerce product page like a landing page or landing page like, but bottom line, if that product page does not look like a standard full sales pitch page, it's not going to convert well. You need to have information upon information upon information. So, because there's a lot of people that are going to want to know more about the product. And the best way to lay it out is to have it broken into sections. So, you have one section talking about how your product compares to the competitors, another section that talks about before and after results, another section that talks about and it goes, and as you scroll, you get to pick what you're interested in. And you're also able to drill into that one thing that you're interested in by clicking a link to get extra resources on that particular topic. For products, it's not as much of a game changer if you don't have a landing page, but it certainly does help a bunch if it's not obvious what it is the product does right away. So if you're selling a brim, you don't need a sales page. If you're selling a water filter, or you're selling a brand new pottery wheel system that's $2,000, you do. If you want to get the maximum conversion rate. So it's up to you if you want to make all the money or not. But generally speaking, that's how it's done. So that the sales page just basically gets them prepared for the product page, in that when they get to the product page, they already know why this product is relevant. Service. For services, 95% of the time, you're going to do better with the landing page as a whole. It's just how it is. So don't avoid landing pages for services. Giveaways, samples, etc. A lot of you guys that are struggling with your PPC, you completely don't understand the fact that in a lot of markets, in order to make money, you can't offer what you offer as is. If you're offering promotional hats with people's logos on them, you don't just say, hey, we offer promotional hats. It's like every other company in the entire market does. And it is exactly the same how they're marketing it. You say, you inquire here for a free digital sample of what your logo will look like on a hat, and you get a shitload of submissions for way, way, way cheaper than just saying, hey, if you're interested in hats, fill out this form. And you'll get 10 times the submissions. And yes, not all of them will convert. You'll still end up with 3 times the sales and ROI than you would get the other way around. This is a real example here. A lot of times, just to make your campaign profitable enough to pay the bills, you just got to reinvent a better offer. You do a contest, come in and make 10 baskets in a row at our Hot Shots basketball thing at our car dealership, and we'll give you this car. And it's really, really hard. It's like one of those scams, if you will, at a circus or carnival where it's like impossible to do. But you got a shitload of people now coming in who want a car that you can then convert 1 or 2% of those people into customers. Or you say something like, hey, we guarantee you'll have the lowest rate on your health insurance. And if you don't get it, we're going to give you XYZ reward or prize. And yes, you have to give some of them out, but you get a shitload of inquiries, given that the actual average cost of inquiry was going to be $100, but now you're able to get them for $10 each. And most of the people aren't going to remember that you said you would give them a $30 Starbucks gift card when they initially inquired, that they had to go through the process of giving out their information, what they have and what they need, and so on and so forth. So you just got to think outside the box. With that, landing pages, the way that you do this, because you don't want to put that stuff on your main site and offer it to everybody, but you want to do it for your Facebook campaign or your LinkedIn campaign in order to get that campaign to work. You have a very targeted offer for that exact channel. Number 3 factor to consider, what kind of website do you have? Okay, is it a good quality website or a great quality website or excellent quality website? The better your main website is, the more likely you can get your website to convert at least as good as a landing page could or better. A lot of companies reach out to our firm at Guaranteed PPC wanting us to manage their ads, and their website sucks. And we have to do a landing page just to cover up for the fact that the website sucks. For that matter, that's really what a good landing page does, is it makes up for the fact that your website's terrible, and instead of having to rebuild a whole website, you can get by and at least be bare minimum profitable with a decent landing page, given that only 10 or 20% of people will go to the main site, the rest of them won't. And now you can make the campaign work without having to rebuild your whole website. Generally speaking, when I say poor quality, I'm not just talking about design quality, which that's the number 1, but a close second is how much content you have on the website itself. When people want to go do more research on you, is there a bunch of other material there for them to actually see? Or is it really sparse of information? Because when it is, people are thinking that you're just a new guy in business, and that's the perception, and I don't want to do business with any new guy. I'm going to talk a bit more about this in particular in a minute, but that's something else you want to consider as well. Number 4, skill level the person putting together the landing pages. So naturally, I have people underestimate this all the time as to how skilled you have to actually be to put together a super high converting landing page. Landing pages are something that everybody thinks they can do, that it's so simple, it should be so cheap, Because anybody, to give you a side example here, everybody thinks they look at art and they see how much it sells for, and an untrained person who's not particularly a savant, a person that likes art, buying art, purchasing art, they just look at a painting that sells for $10,000 or $100,000. They look at it and they're like, oh, I could do that. Yeah, oh yeah, let's see you try. Let's go. Oh, why don't you go out and break out your kids' crayons here and you make a painting and you try to sell it for $10,000. Come back to me. And if you can, by the way, I'll eat my hat, but it's not going to happen because there are things that the painter knows that you don't know, that you just don't know, that makes his painting sell and yours won't. Landing pages are like this. People think it's so simple. A kid could put a landing page together. You could get a landing page made for $5. You could get one made for $50,000. Why is there a price difference? It's all down to the results, baby. How much conversion rate does it get? How knowledgeable and experienced is the person putting it together? You don't get any value out of no $5 landing page. If you did, the person selling it for $5 wouldn't be selling it for $5 anymore. I promise you that. For every 10 people who say they can make a highly converting landing page, 1 or less actually can. And I'm not just saying this because we make landing pages, by the way. If you can make super high converting landing pages for $50, even $500, I want to hire you. Apply at my company. I'll start paying you $100,000 a year to bust out landing pages all day long. This is a super rare skill. It's a black art, if you will. I can't give you an exact how-to. Okay, this is how you make a highly converting landing page. It doesn't exist. You have to study, you have to apply, you have to test, you have to do it over and over and over again. Anyway, bottom line, you either have to go through this process yourself or you got to hire somebody who knows what they're doing. And landing pages from somebody who knows what they're doing that are just whoring themselves out like that, if you will, it's going to add thousands at minimum, if not 5 figures for a decent landing page, depending on what market you're in. You may call me a complete moron for saying this. I've had many people tell me this before, but they're also not in the industry. If you're in an industry like SaaS, selling software, it's not just me saying this. Go look at your top software company and what they're paying for that landing page that they're using on Google Ads. I guarantee it's no less than $15,000, upwards of $50,000 to $100,000 just from one landing page. But guess what? If that landing page works, it's going to be producing $100,000 worth of profit every month in a high volume space like that, running tons of ad spend at it, which is why it costs what it costs. It really depends on the competition of your niche. If you're in a niche where if you get it right, you're going to make $40,000 a year. You're not going to need no landing page genius making your landing page. You probably can make it yourself. But if you're in a space where you can make $400,000 a year, it's a whole different level of difficulty putting a landing page together that will beat the competition, which is really what it's about. Will your stuff be better than theirs? Because if you're in a space like that, they already know landing pages are required. Now, can you make one that's as good as them or better? And that's not going to get done with some schmuck on Fiverr that you paid $50 to. That's what people think by default. That's what they want. Go try it yourself and see if it's going to actually work. And if it were that easy, everybody would be rich. So, do you have the time/resources/money to put together a good landing page for your niche with the level of competition that it's required in your niche? The more money that's at stake in your niche, the more you can make. Are you going to be a multi-millionaire getting your campaign to work? It's going to take a shitload of resources to get the landing page good enough to beat the competition. It's going to be quite expensive. So if you do not have the resources to make the landing page together, right, then you may be better just send it over to your main website. If you've already invested 50, 100, 150K in the website to make it good, that could certainly be the case. So if you spend 150 on your website and you think you're going to get by spending 500 on your landing page, you're probably better just send it over to your website. Number 5, how much social proof have you had on your main website? So this is tied to a little bit what I was talking about on number 3 here. So with this, again, if you don't have enough material on your main website because you say, oh, it's hard to get it from the customer. Customer doesn't want to give it. Oh, we can't afford to do it because it would take hiring a photographer and sending them out to our clients' locations. Oh, we can't because blah, 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 blah. There's always these excuses why you can't show examples from past customers, past clients, why you can't show why your product outperforms the competition. All this is just simply hurting you at the end of the day. And as it comes to case studies, mentioning companies you work with, all this stuff, if you skimp on it, either don't have it or you have just a few companies when presumably you should have had hundreds or thousands of clients and customers that you've worked with, they're just in their mind thinking they're listening because they don't have it. So if that is you, for whatever excuse that you have that you're not going to have that on your website, you're better off setting them to a landing page because at least then you can kind of obfuscate this. But if they go to a whole website and there's not anything on there, they know for sure you don't have it, therefore they're not doing business with you. So landing page can cover up for the fact that you don't have nor can't get before and after photos, list of companies you've worked with, case studies, all this stuff that a big company that's been in business a long time, or should I say, that somebody would want to work with in that space. So if I'm hiring an IT services firm, and I even get a slight whiff that you're not in business for a decade already, and you have lots and lots of employees, you have lots and lots of clients, I am not doing business with you. There's no point. All I'm going to do is get embedded in your company, and then you're going to fail on me. So why am I going to do that when I've got 10 other companies who have that? There's no point in advertising. If you are that, you use the landing page to cover for that. And because people expect less from a landing page as a whole, and maybe you can bridge the gap in terms of the conversions you need because your main website doesn't have all the stuff that you normally should have on it. So those are the 5 kind of considerations. Your best of the best is, of course, a good website with a good landing page that is 90+% of the time with the landing page directing people to the part of the website that is going to give them more details about what they care about. If they want to know more about the customers you work with, they can click here. If they want to know more about the competitors and what makes them different than you, they can click here. And that's really what a good landing page does. There's a lot more to it than that, but that's the minimum structure that typically works the best. From there, you got to understand things like iFlow and contrast and stuff that you're just not going to know, not having made hundreds of landing pages and studying it for years and years and years, which is why you're better off hiring somebody to do it for you, of which, if you're a company doing at least several hundred grand a year in revenue, you have no business doing a landing page by yourself. It makes zero sense because you're going to waste more money in ad spend and you're going to hire the landing page designer, even if they charge several grand for a single landing page. So you can make your AI page and say it shouldn't have to cost more than that or $50 or whatever. Promise you, I can make a landing page that converts twice as good as yours. And over the next 5 years, you're going to spend 100 grand on ad spend I didn't have to spend to get the same amount of sales you got. So you can save your 5 grand for a landing page that's just going to crush everything. Or you can do your little AI page and spend nothing. Case studies. Get into the results that we got in terms of going from sending traffic to a website versus a landing page. I wanted to go over 3 different examples here. So you can see the difference in results you're going to get going from one to the other and vice versa. Before we get into that though, if you haven't subscribed, you absolutely should subscribe. I've got the best information, no BS information where I'm not just talking about theory here. This is information coming out from a firm that manages 50 to 100 different ad accounts, has access to real data, real advice as a result. I spend 80 hours a week roughly working, so I can give you 40 hours a week to this channel, sharing what works, to working with clients to get the data itself. So I'm in the weeds doing the work, and then I'm sharing what works. Nobody else does this on YouTube as well as online, so subscribe. I also got a great blog on my site at guaranteeppc.com/blog. Should also check that out as well if you like my work here. In addition to this, if you have any questions from myself about this or any other marketing related question, you can always leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question or comment on this channel, usually within 24 hours. You can reach out to me through my Discord group. I've got a link to that in the description, as well as through my website at guaranteeppc.com, of which I do coaching and consulting there. I also do done for you PPC/ad management services, where I guarantee results. That is, if you don't get a certain minimum amount of lift in profitability on your campaigns up front, I do not charge a management fee. No other firm out there does this. I also sell templates. So if you're in a market that we've already been in and in another city or country that you're in, I can sell you the winning ads, landing pages, all of it that work for your market. You simply copy paste those into your ad account, and then you can get the same results we did without all the hard work and heavy lifting that we had to do to figure out how to get those results in your market. So if you're interested in that, let me know. I'll tell you the results we got in your market and how much the template would be. Beyond that, going back to what I was saying here, in terms of the case studies, first off, we had a process serving company that does, like if you sue somebody, you have to serve them first. There's specialized companies that do this, mainly that lawyers will outsource their work to because they don't want to do this themselves. Obviously, it's easier to outsource this. But in this market, we had a client who thought they were so clever. Landing pages are the most understood thing when it comes to the entire marketing space. And I'm not trying to act like my crap don't stink myself. I went through all these same mistakes 20 years ago when I started doing this myself. Everybody has to learn what they have. As they say, you don't truly learn anything until you've experienced it yourself and felt that pain and how it really stings. Well, that's what you get when you're talking about landing pages, not understanding these different things when it comes to landing pages, how to make a page that converts, what it's really like when you do have one that converts. The default thinking for a lot of clients is, well, Corey, we don't need landing pages. Just send them to our website. All the information's there. People like our website. For services, they still don't At least when you're talking about Google Ads for sure, but most other channels as well most of the time. They don't want to screw around in your website reading for 15 minutes before they inquire when they've typed in process serving company Dallas. That is an absolute ludicrous assumption, which only a true amateur would bring up and say. Nobody that's been running ads for any amount of time would say that's a good idea. But this is what this client did. And so they forced us to send traffic to the homepage. And I tell them up front, this is what's going to happen. We do it. With that, what happened? Our landing page that we made for them initially, which I tried telling them, your conversion rate's higher than industry averages here. If we send traffic to the website, your homepage, yeah, the leads you're going to get are higher quality because they've read all the material, and you're not going to have as many people to have to say no to when I'm sending this flood of calls to you. But you're going to get so few of them, it don't matter if that each goal was laced in damn gold. It ain't going to make your campaign profitable. You're going to have to switch it back. Then you're going to have to go through learning mode again, and you're going to lose $50,000 roughly by the time you go through learning mode the first time to switch it, and then learning mode again to switch it back. Have things go back to the way that it was. Oh, no. We're just do it. Just do it. Landing page, 98 conversions an average a month for the last few months before the switch. ROAS, 787. Switching over to the website. Now, granted, I will admit, this was a good website. Doesn't matter though. At the end of the day, what matters? What the consumer thinks, what they want, what they'll do, what they won't do. What people say they'll do isn't what they fucking do. What they do is what they do. And that's all that matters when it comes to trying to make money with running ads. All we do is we observe what people will do and what they won't do and go after the stuff they will do. It doesn't matter how obscene it is what it is. It's like saying, I should be rich because I deserve it. Well, you can keep thinking that. You can shit in one hand and not in the other, and we'll see which one fills up faster. The website converted 34 conversions on average during the time that we switched it over, which was only about 60 days before they agreed that I was right. ROAS 211%. So they basically ran the campaign at a loss for 60 days. Then after that, it took time for the results to recover because anytime you switch the landing pages back, it's going to go back into learning mode for 30 to 60 days. So now granted, the learning mode, part of the reason why the results went down as far as they did, but it shouldn't have went down that much. Switching from one landing page to the other, the ROAS should have went down from like 800% down to maybe 500-ish. So more than double the damage there. So that's a perfect example of what you don't have to learn for yourself. I've done this, what I just described to you, countless times now, over a decade running this firm. Oh, cool, just send them to the website. Because people want to believe that the website that they made is a freaking bloodline, it's beautiful, it's their baby, it's their child. None of this matters. Consumer is what matters, not what you think. Now, we had a crime scene cleanup company. This is like when somebody blows their head off with a shotgun, and somebody's got to clean it. And of course, the kids are not going to do it because it's too traumatic, it's gross, whatever. There's specialized companies that do this. In this market itself, the client had the website, but then we had the landing page. We brought that in later itself. I've got these in opposite order here, but the website was converting at 12 conversions a month, and we had 408% ROAS. When we added the landing page in, the conversion rate went up basically triple, just simply having a simple landing page. And this is with a web homepage that wasn't too terrible. But there's nothing compared to, especially in local services, having a dedicated landing page for every category of keyword in every location that you're targeting. So when somebody types in suicide cleanup company and they're in Arlington, which is a part of the Dallas metro area, and they see suicide cleanup in Arlington versus we do cleanup service or crime scene cleanup services and just generic messaging, that's why you get triple the conversion rate. Not only that, but it also is simplified. And because when you got to realize when somebody's coming from a Google ad, they're thinking is, do I leave? 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 And you have to be super, super, super direct. Otherwise, the person's just going to leave. Any screwing around, getting fancy, any of this shit is going to cost you big. You have to know exactly what they want and just give them exactly that. And that is it. Because if you don't, you're going to drop conversions. The screwing around, sending them the homepage and making them call you to figure out what they need to know, you're throwing away most of your money. I'm just telling you that. Local services, 99% of the time, a landing page is going to quash the living crap out of the results of your homepage, sending them there. I don't care if you have to spend 20 grand for a landing page. You'd be better off doing that than sending them to your damn homepage. And these results show. So We went from 12 conversions a month to 31 and 408% ROAS to 1149%. Blowing the results of the homepage out of the water, same exact keywords, same exact everything, which every new campaign I run, I always do landing pages, especially for local services. But once in a while, we can't get the landing page done in time, so we launch the campaign without it. And the homepage, we get to see how much of a difference in jump in results we got going from the homepage to the landing pages. So I got an opportunity to not only see going from homepage to landing page, but doing it on the same exact keywords, which is what this data is primarily based upon, since most of our traffic was coming from the new campaigns that we had. Not just exclusively that, but a lot of. Now, final example here, water filters. As I mentioned before, on the products, with the product, depending on how technical of a sale it is, and I also will say the price, that will determine if you need a landing page or not to get by and make money in a competitive market. A water filter is a pretty competitive market. It's a product that's a few $100s. It's not something you can make a decision on quickly. You're likely to go bounce around different websites to get information before you buy. All this stuff is true. Whereas the average person is going to say, why do I have to send them to a product page? That's just going to stop them from getting to the product page on my website. Or why do I have to send them to a landing page? That's just going to stop them from getting to the product page on the website. And only some will make it to the product page to buy. No, that's not how to think about this accurately. The reality is you send them to the product page, it doesn't get to the freaking point, and they're going to leave in mass. Versus they get to a really well dialed in sales page to communicate the key things they want to know quickly and in a certain order that they're going to get first, second, third, fourth in a very, very deliberate way, so that, yes, the third of the people that are left that click through the landing page, actually do make it to the product page, they're super qualified, baby. Then a third of them want to buy at that point in time, because you've already sold them on everything that matters. So in this market, we had a water filter product, we made the landing page, and in a similar manner, we were starting out to operating and running just all the traffic to the website. We went from 9 sales a month at 94% ROAS itself to having the landing page with 52 sales a month at 685% ROAS. All based upon the landing page being there versus not. I told the client we need the landing page. We spent a ton of time coming up with this killer landing page for this water filter product. Made all the difference in whether the traffic was going to work or not. In a market like that, it really is everything. You either have a good sales page for what you're going to do, or you don't, and you don't make any money. Bottom line, I would say most of the cosmetics market or space is the same way. Anything like skin cream, makeup, if you're talking about supplements, anything like this, especially in those markets. You've got to have sales pages to send people to nowadays. It's too competitive. It's too hard to convey trust. Even if it's $50, you still need this in a lot of those markets. Anyway, you get my point. That is kind of your explanation as to landing pages versus sending people to a full website. What matters the best is to have both, of course. Your landing page, do the initial buttering up of the user, and then let your website knock them dead. You can't offer less links to your website from your landing page and go that route. Once in a while, you'll send them to your website, and that's the best way to go. Less than 10% of the time, of which is when generally you're selling product and generally your website's really good already. Then you don't need landing pages, and that's the primary of the 10% that's left, the ones where landing pages don't make sense anymore. But most of you guys need landing pages. With that, I'll wrap it up with that. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one. If you want to see another video, click here. It is one of my best ones.